Alright guys, Papa Pepper on the homestead here once again, just showing you some of the resources that we have and how we plan on using them. One thing that happens a lot down here in the Ozarks is there's a ton of rock. A lot of the soil in some places is rock and clay. Now, depending on what you plan on doing it with your land, that's not incredibly useful. However, with a little bit of thinking, that can be very useful. First of all, the clay can be used for making ponds and stuff like that. And this rock is very versatile. One thing I plan on doing is making some fencing that's actually just a couple of probably kennel panels, kind of like the hog or a cattle panel, but a closer, spacing on the wire. And sometimes people will space those however far apart, put a couple wires between them. I think I've only seen them. I got my own plans on how to build them. And then you just fill the middle with rock. So you dump all your rocks in there. It creates a barrier. It creates a nice look to it. And then you can have a solid fence that's pretty much made of metal and rock. As well with landscaping and dealing with the contours of the land, my whole property is on a slope. You can get a lot of washouts, a lot of other things. The water that's produced at the top and all the way down will just run downhill. But if you use some swales and things like rocks, berms, other things to help contain the water and allow your plants and stuff to drink rather than losing it all, there's ways to kind of build on contour as well. So rock's going to come in handy for that. A lot of people do use rocks for fencing too. There's two different ways of doing that. The one is to mortar them all together, and that's a great way of doing it. The other way is kind of a more natural fence where you build, rock on top rock as you go, but you don't mortar them. And down here it may not be as big of an issue as it would have been somewhere like Wisconsin, where that gets a heavy freeze. But pretty much, the land is moving. There's freezing and heating that happens where you have things contracting and expanding. So often with the ones with the mortar, it'll crack apart eventually. If you just build a fence with stone, it can kind of move and move back into place, and it'll stay there actually pretty long. There's some not too far from here that were built during the Civil War. So, and they're there today. You can go look at them. I could probably be there, 5-minute run, 10-minute walk right now. Then also people will use these for, like mortaring to the outside of a building, give it a nice rock look. I may be building a fireplace with some of this. I plan on taking, like my landscaping at the edge of the yard, I put a rock barrier up. There's a drainage ditch, a row of rocks, and then I have my plants planted in there with mulch. So the mulch is going to soak up some of the water. The plants can use that. The rocks are an added barrier to keep the whole thing from washing out, and then the roots are going to help hold the soil together beneath it. So just another resource that I've got. We're making some huge piles of it. I also have the kids taking whatever ones they can use and just filling up 5-gallon buckets with it. 5-gallon buckets are, you can only hold so much in them, and I can pretty much lift whatever's going to be in a 5-gallon bucket, whether it's water, whether it's rock. You could fill it with some sort of like anti-gravity matter, and I'm so strong, I could lift that bucket. So, like I said before, I don't have a tractor with a bucket scoop or something like that. I pretty much got a truck and a trailer, so anything I'm moving, I got to move one way or another. So if I can have the kids just pick these up, fill a bucket of rocks for me, I don't need to pick it up again. I can lift them all together and move that to where I'm using them. So just another resource we got. Some people would look at land with a ton of rocks and be like, oh, what a curse, but this can be a blessing if you know how to use it. So I'm all about trying to work smarter, not harder, and using what I got. There's people who buy stuff like this too. So I've got a ton for free. All right, pop out. As always, I'm Papa Pepper, and I'd like to remind you, don't post for free. If you'd like to be part of a revolution in social media, an economic power to the people where users can actually blog for cryptocurrency, then I'd recommend that you check out steemit.com and join the revolution. Papa out.